Hi, I am a plein air artist, and today's video is going to focus on camping more than painting. Camping is a tool that lets me open up more painting opportunities. My wife and I both love the boondock. This is also known as dry camping and primitive camping. I think these two pictures speak for themselves on why we love boondocking over the jammed traditional campgrounds. Here are two photos of me painting. They are examples of how sometimes it's very private and other times it's very crowded. Here are two examples of my paintings I have done in plein air. Depressed camping is the term used for camping anywhere in the national forest outside of a designated campground. Desperate camping means no services such as trash removal, water, electricity, and little or no facilities such as tables or fire pits are provided. Some more popular depressed camping areas may have a fire pit and may also require a permit. Dry camping is a term that refers to camping without any hookups. That means you do not use electricity or water hookups. Boondocking and desperate camping are remote forms of camping. You can go dry camping in an established campground or a primitive campground. These sites often have tables, fire rings, showers, dump stations, and have a small fee. The Bureau of Land Management also has large, vast sections of public land that can be used for boondocking. Most of the time, you are only required to be 150 feet from the road and not near any streams or open water. Also, you can't break any posted rules for that area. Most common is these markers that say no motor vehicle past this point. They also have sometimes decided to close off areas for a period of time that's been overused. It's always best to stop at a BLM office in the area and they will be very happy to help you. At these campsites, you may have the neighbors check you out. Be careful. Some of them can be dangerous. You may also see traffic crossing signs. Please obey them. You will need some important equipment before you try this boondocking. A 4x4 truck with creeper gears is a must. A generator with the proper electrical outlet to run your trailer is also a must. I recommend a dual fuel generator with an overrated wattage. My trailer requires a 30 amp service, which is 3,600 watts. I purchased a 5,300 watt generator. You are often at higher altitudes when boondocking. The generators will not run at full power at a higher altitude. Do not buy a kit for your generator to run at 100% at a higher altitude unless you will be camping at that altitude all the time. If you upgrade your generator for a higher altitude, you will damage the generator if you go down below 2,000 feet in altitude. it's better to buy a larger generator and have it run at a lower efficiency. Your trailer must also have a freshwater tank and wastewater holding tanks. All of these things are the minimum requirements for your trailer to boondock seriously. The other thing that can make your life great is solar power. If done well, we can make coffee, use the microwave, all the electrical outlets, TV, and even take a hot shower with the hot water heater switched to electric. Why spend money on propane when the electricity is free? The only time we ever had to use the generator was for AC. Here is my solar system, wire and flow chart. I will also show you why I installed this system. Do not think about using your solar for AC. It is not practical. Sooner or later, you will make a mistake and the AC will come on at the wrong time and you'll do damage. Yes, it can be done, but you would need 3,000 watts of solar and 6,000 watt low frequency inverter with an auto switch to turn a generator on for when the battery voltage got too low. The cost of the equipment, the weight, and the size of the RV roof you would need would greatly reduce your options for boondocking. You will still need a generator anyway. Here are some more pictures of my trailer with the solar. Here you can see the solar panels on the roof, 2 of them. There's actually 4 solar panels on the roof, which equals 1,000 watts. I have 2 extra panels in the back of my bed that cover the bed, and you can see my generator sitting there behind the solar panels, is space for the generator. And here's how I hold the solar panels onto the bed of the truck. I have those thumb screws and right angle steel mounted on both sides of the bed, and the panels just fit nicely in there and the thumbnail screws hold it in. Here you can see my meters that from the controllers. You can also see my meter that measures the current and the switch. I think everybody should have a 12 or 16 terminal crossover switch so wires can never short from the solar to the land. I use the 12 terminal because my boondocking trailer only has a 30 amp service. If your RV has 50 amp service, you will need the 16 terminal switch for the extra wires. There has to be either a manual or auto switch by law. I like the manual one. That way there is no mistake with what you are connected to. I also think the AC should be wired directly to the LAN connection side of the switch, which bypasses the switch just for the AC. That way, the only time the AC can come on is when you are plugged into land or the generator is plugged in, and there is no electrical or ground connection between the AC and solar. My LAN connection is either the power company or the generator, whenever is plugged in to the RV outlet. That way, my generator is still always safe. Now, my solar system is a 24 volt battery solar system. Here I'm comparing the two. The 12 volt battery system, which a lot of RVs have that I feel is not adequate, and a 24 volt battery solar system. You can see that the 120 volt AC 10 amp is 1,200 watts. 1,200 watts times 12 volts DC is 100 amps. You need 1,000 watts minimum solar. 1,500 watts is much better. 1,000 watts, you need 80 amp controller or two 40 amp controllers. Two 40 amp controllers are a better option because of the standard solar wires. The 24 volt battery system at 120 volt AC still draws 1,200 watts, but divided by 24 volts DC is only 50 amps, half the current. You still need 1,000 watts minimum solar. 1,500 watts is much better. 1,000 watts with a 24 system, you only need a 40 amp controller. Just because of the cost, I think it's not worthwhile. The 24 volt costs 1/3 the price of the 12 volt battery system. Just to keep your 12 volt battery in the solar system, part of the solar system, it just does not make sense to me. Here are some reasons why I think you should use 24 volts. You should never use two different types of batteries with a battery bank. So you should not keep your 12 volt battery for your trailer anyway, because it'll be different than your solar batteries. 1,000 watts for 250 watt panels are 37 volts at 9 amps. The panels have to be wired in parallel, array. Solar panel wire is 10 gauge. You have to design in a 3% wire loss. This means you have two sets of two panels. Total of 4 wires running down from your roof to the controller. The wires can only be 30 feet long with the 12 volt system. The 24 volt bank still needs 2 pair of solar panels, but they are wired in series array, which will reduce the current by half and double the panel voltage. Now you only need 2 wires from the roof or the solar panels. Also, the wire can be 60 feet long. The 1,000 watt of power will require an 80 amp controller or two 40 amp parallel, and the 24 volt bank will only require one 40 amp controller for 1,000 watts. Now there are some people that say, no, you have to be in parallel to get the maximum DC power. It is true that if you are in series and one of your panels go into the shade, it will limit the current of the other panel. But don't forget, we are dealing with a higher voltage. Power equals voltage times current. So it's a washout. Let's talk about safety. You should always check things with a voltmeter before handling things. It's also smart to check the meter before and after making measurements to a known source, a known voltage. Your meter can have a bad battery and not be working correctly, or you could have blown the internal fuse if you measured the wrong voltage. Example, measuring a voltage with a meter set to reading current, which will take out your fuse. Take off your wedding ring or put on rubber gloves. 12 volts and 24 volts is not as safe as people think. especially when you're dealing with hundreds of amps. When you have that much source for power and you accidentally get a wedding ring in between the plus and ground, the wedding ring will melt and surgically remove your finger. So always take off your wedding ring and put on rubber gloves. Working on the AC voltage side, always have one hand in your back pocket. You should always have power off when working with electronics, but you can't troubleshoot with the power off. By having your one hand in your back pocket, you can't get the electric shock through your heart. It'll just go through one arm and not across your chest. So that's important. So that's why you should have one hand in your back pocket. I hope this helps you. I would also like to say 24-volt system does not have to be wired in series. It can also be wired in parallel, depending on your solar panels. Also, depending on your RV size, you may want to put a 48-volt battery pack in. Now we're going to look at some photos and video of my last boondocking trip to Escalante. This is the campground that we're at. My wife took her cell phone. She took a video film of the area around our trailer. It was a very peaceful place. There was no interruptions. I could paint right on location. And here I am painting. Notice I have my easel with the sun behind it. You never want the sun to shine on your easel. It will give you false lighting, and then when the picture goes on a wall in a home, it'll look like a night scene instead of a day scene. Here I am just giving the final touchings to the painting. This was all done in just one afternoon. Again, this is the view. There's the tree, not quite at the same angle, close. There's the palette. When you paint outside, you realize by just taking a few steps to the right or the left how much your scene can change. It can also change just by standing up and sitting down. If you plan on sitting, you should start right in the beginning sitting. Because if you do the painting halfway through and change from standing to sitting, it will be very hard to make the adjustment because the angles will be entirely different. Now here's the final painting. Here's another scene that from a campground we had a couple days before then. This is sitting right at the trailer. Here I am putting the underpainting in. talking to my wife. This was at a dry camp. So we actually have a gravel road up to the campsite. There's the final painting. So I hope you enjoyed it. And that's it. And have a nice day. Bye now.